Hi, I'm Brian Moran, founder of Government CIO. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine.
Hello, I'm Bill Giandoni with Government CIO Magazine. Today we're sitting down with Mr. Roger Baker, the VA CIO.
So the VA started doing something that really would be considered a precursor to TechStats in late 2009. When we introduced the Program Management Accountability System, one of the things that occurs if you miss a milestone under that system is you get to have what we have called previously a strike meeting. You come in, the program manager, the vendors, everybody involved with the program, and you sit down with the CIO and you talk about why did the program miss the date, what's the impact on the future of the program, and should the program go into a pause state, is there some reason to stop spending taxpayer dollars on the program? So when OMB announced the TechStats and really started down that path, we renamed the strike meetings to TechStats, and we really started to follow the format that OMB put out there. It works very, very well for us. But at the VA, every program, we have about 150 ongoing programs right now. Every one of those, if they miss a milestone, they have a TechStat meeting with the CIO, and we determine what the future of the program is going to be based on that. So the main attribute in PMAS that I think other agencies today would have difficulty in replicating is it takes a lot of authority for the CIO to make PMAS happen. When we stopped 45 programs in June of 2009, I got a lot of queries from my peers in other agencies of how did you do that? Because of all the authority vested in the VA CIO, the answer was pretty simple. I sent out an email and told 45 program managers their program was done for right now until they reformed it. The structure at VA is much different. All the budget, all the staff, all the resources for IT are consolidated under the Assistant Secretary for Information and Technology. And given that, the ability then to compel a program to come in for a TechStat meeting, the ability to say, if you don't, I will stop you, and have that carry a lot of weight, is something that other agencies would find very difficult. 10 years ago, I was the CIO at the Department of Commerce. And the issue when the program owns all of the budget for the IT, and you go in as the CIO to try and reform that, you end up with a discussion that frequently ends up in the Secretary's office about should we stop, but there's a mission impact, and you end up in a 3 or 4 month long discussion, some people would call it an argument, about whether the program should be stopped. We have those discussions in an hour in my conference room, and we make a decision right there. And it really is important to have that level of authority to make something like PMAS really work. So the most important thing we've done is focused on incremental delivery. You cannot have a milestone for software delivery that takes you longer than 6 months. So that really breaks things into bite-sized chunks that get software out there in the user's hands. There are several fundamental principles inside of PMAS. One of them is if you're doing small chunks, you're going to much more reliably hit your date. You're going to be able to control change much better. But the other one in there is that with the user in the loop and delivering software to the user frequently and early on, you get great feedback from the people that actually have to use the software about whether you're hitting the mark or not with that software. So you don't have a program that goes on for year after year and eventually delivers something and the user says, boy, did you miss it. You have, if you take, for example, our new GI Bill system, what we call the Chapter 33 long-term system. It delivered functionality in 3-month increments after the first delivery, and it was constantly changing the user interface and the way the users interacted with it. When you look at the satisfaction of the 1,200 users of that system inside VA right now, it is very high. They designed the system. They got exactly what they wanted. It works very well to their business processes. And so you end up with a system that the users like. It does what the users believe they need to do, and you've got them functionality very early on. Now, when you get to the end solution, really delivering all the functionality of the system, that probably takes as long under incremental development as it does under any other development process. The difference is you've reduced the risk very early on in the program, both from a delivery standpoint and from are you providing what the users want? And so, really PMAS is more about risk reduction than anything else. So the entire reason that we have put the T4 contract in place was to better fit our contracting methods to what we're doing in the development side of VA. What we found early on as we moved all of our programs from the legacy style, from waterfall development into incremental development, is that the contracting types and the way we were contracting frequently caused us headaches with trying to reform the contracts along with the program. You would find a contract where you wanted to stop the program, but the contractor had 9 different programs that they were working on, and so how do you partially stop a contract versus completely stopping a contract? So we really went after T4 from that perspective. We have, I'd say that the major change we've made, though, is in making certain that contracts are not lifetime entitlements for the folks associated with them. It comes as quite a shock to both a program and a vendor to find out that because they missed their 3rd milestone, the program is done. We have determined that the taxpayers' interests are not best served. Your program is done. Thank you very much for playing. That's changed a lot of the mentality inside of VA, both from the contractors and from the program folks. I find our program folks involve their contractors more in helping solve the problems of the program. The contractors have always been willing to provide that input, but in the past the government has tended to not listen as much. Everybody's got a stake in the game now, and people come to the table more readily and more easily to try and solve the problems of the program when they're under the gun, when they know that if they miss the milestones, they're going to have a strike on their program, and 3 strikes and you're out. So the VA, under our Assistant Secretary for Human Resources and Administration, John Sepulveda, has put a major focus on training for the last few years. Program management training, user training, and really our technology fits in with that. As you're probably aware, we have an online training system, the talent management system, that all of our folks utilize for much of their in-house training. It both provides electronic courses, but it also provides complete tracking of the training courses that they take. As you get down into user training for utilizing the software, we're trying to build several things into the software that help from that standpoint. I mentioned a little earlier the new GI Bill system. What we included in that system was actually a training module as part of the software, so that a user can refresh their training if necessary in a way on the software without affecting the live user data. At the same time, incremental development also helps from a training standpoint. You don't have to start by learning 100 new features. You've got beginnings of a piece of software that you use, usually, frankly, for initial delivery somewhat sporadically, and you get the feedback from a number of users. Our first delivery of the new GI Bill system had 12 users on it when it went live. So you both have less to train folks on and fewer folks that need to be trained immediately. And then, frankly, as you grow that way, a lot of training happens user to user. Someone turning to the person next to them and saying, "How do you do that again? I can't remember." And when you've got that experience base inside the folks that you're working with, that helps as well.